Hello and welcome to our July 31st, 2026 Freshet Friday podcast. And happy BC Day weekend to everyone. The news coming into this holiday weekend includes a brazen flower heist in Coquitlam's town centre park, how a climate action group in New Westminster is putting local election candidates to the test, how Coquitlam is working to save mid-century homes, as well as the sad loss of Coquitlam Search and Rescue longtime search manager and Burnaby resident Michael Coyle. We'll also talk about what BC Day means to our panel, get a roundup of some key interactions with emergency services in our Freshet 911 segment, and how a South Asian pioneer in our community is being honored in Burnaby's first stop of interest. I'm your host, Jeff Wheelwright, and with me on the podcast this week are the veteran journalists and founders of Freshet News, Janice Clue and Cornelia Naylor, along with our summer intern, Liam Robert Scott, with their take on all of these happenings in Burnaby, New Westminster, and the Tri-Cities. Welcome back, team.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Let's start by introducing you, Liam. Do you want to tell our podcast audience a little bit about yourself and why you wanted to work with Freshet News?
Sure, Jeff. So a quick background on me. My name's Liam Robert Scott. I'm 33 years old. And before journalism, I did a lot of different things. I worked in film, television, and advertising as a production assistant, and briefly as a cast coordinator. I'm a musician and an audio engineer, and played in a couple bands and taught music as well on the side. I also built websites for people still, and generally one of my favorite things to do is find things on Craigslist, repair it, and then flip it and sell it. When I was 32, I decided I wanted to stop relying on a collection of essentially side gigs and focus on sort of one discipline. And journalism felt like, I guess, the logical choice because it brought together a lot of the skills and interests I had developed over the years. Researching, writing, regularly meeting new people and getting to know them, along with my intense interest in politics and civic issues. I'm about to enter my third semester of Langara College's 2-year journalism diploma, and I love it. I really started clicking for me during my second semester, and I've been kind of riding that wave ever since. And I was recently awarded the Reed Mercer Scholarship. Now, that is sort of designed to help emerging journalists gain experience in a professional newsroom. I owe local journalist Francis Beulah a huge thank you for helping make this happen. I also want to recognize my instructors, including Barry Link, Erica Bowman, Effie Klein, and Neil Amsler, along with everyone else in Langara's journalism department. Now, why I kind of gravitated towards Freshet was because it's a worker-owned co-op doing genuinely local journalism. I'm really interested in civic issues and stories that directly affect people in their communities, so it kind of felt like a natural fit. I also liked that I'd be working closely with 4 experienced reporters and getting hands-on experience with everything from interviewing and writing and photography and newspaper delivery. It gave me the chance to kind of see how, I guess, a small community publication actually operates. And yeah, that's the lowdown on me, Jeff.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I want to pick up on your enthusiasm for local politics and start you off with a story that you have about how in New Westminster, a climate change group is putting civic election candidates to the test.
That's right, Jeff. The 2021 heat dome still hangs over climate politics in New Westminster, as we all know. 33 residents sadly died during that heat dome, giving the city the highest per capita death toll in BC. That experience pushed Hugh Brown into climate activism. Now, Brown is a board member with the New West Climate Action Hub, and he said he always accepted climate change was real, but once assumed the Lower Mainland would escape its worst effects, and as we've sort of progressed, he isn't making that assumption as much anymore. New Westminster has since introduced Canada's first maximum indoor temperature requirement for rental units and undertaken broader climate resilience planning. With voters choosing a new mayor and council on October 17th, the Hub wants that work to continue. It sent all declared candidates 8 questions covering affordable cooling, transportation, clean energy jobs, the city-owned electrical utility, and provincial LNG expansion. Although that last issue might seem a bit beyond the scope of a municipal election, the LNG expansion, Brown kind of elaborated on that and said climate change does not really stop at city boundaries, and municipalities can still influence senior governments and provincial and even sometimes federal governments. It sounds like the broader goal here with the Climate Action Hub is to get serious, specific plans from candidates running for council and mayor. After the campaign begins September 19th, the Hub will publish a one-page report card and a longer document containing candidates' complete answers. The Hub wants to sort of assess with these answers what's relevant to New Westminster and consistent with climate science. It will also compare candidates' responses with their past statements and actions, so they can't just say whatever they want and then do the opposite later on. And those who do not answer will be marked as just not having responded. So they're hoping to get everyone on the record for this. And Brown is very clear that the Climate Action Hub does not want to endorse anyone. They say that they're not campaigning for any sort of candidate. They're just campaigning for the environment. And they want to make it easier to discuss climate issues. And, Brown hit me with a really interesting statistic where the group Re.Climate found that 42% of Canadians think about climate change more than once a week, but believe only 26% of their neighbors do. So I think what Brown, and along with the Climate Action Hub, really wants to do is tap into that concern and sort of raise awareness that, hey, a lot of people are thinking about this. It's not as isolated as you would believe.
Fantastic. Well, I will be excited to hear about the results of that. Also, in the line of public safety, Cornelia, I believe you got a story about the city lifeguard training pilot that's underway.
This was a fun little tidbit that came up at this week's city council meeting in Burnaby. It's a new lifeguard certification and training program that the city is partnering with the school district on. As you may know, the city has two major projects underway, the Burnaby Lake Recreation Complex and the Cameron Community Center and Library, and both have what the staff describe as significant aquatic amenities that will address current and future demand for aquatic services. And of course, that will come with a need for lifeguards. Both of these are due to be operational in 2028, and they need to find lifeguards for them. So to fill the need and to create employment opportunities, the city is piloting with the school district on this certification program next year at Alpha Secondary and Burnaby North Secondary. It's a pilot program to begin with. 12 students from each school will get a chance to earn lifeguard certification and graduation credits at the same time by completing the program. For now, it's going to be delivered outside of regular school hours, but the hope is that the pilot will lay the groundwork for a formally credited course within the school district. So this pilot is part of a bigger plan by the Parks, Recreation and Culture Department to recruit and retain workers for a bunch of different facilities. It's a historic bit of major facilities planning in the city of Burnaby. And besides the Burnaby Lake and Cameron, they've also got a Brentwood Community Center coming online and the new theater at the Shadbolt Center for the Arts. So they're laying the groundwork for finding ways to recruit and retain employees, workers to make sure that they can provide those services most effectively. It was interesting to me that in the report it said something about, as a baseline, they need to be able to swim 100 meters in a recognized stroke, which I thought, unless I've got that wrong, but that doesn't seem like a lot for somebody to rescue somebody else. Hopefully they'll learn a lot during this pilot so that they're able to rescue people that are in the water. Like 100 meters?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be, yeah. Anyway, I'm sure they know what they're doing.
Yeah. If you're 101 meters out, what happens? Well, thank you for that. And speaking of rescue, we got a sad story, Janice, I know that you have about the passing of a Coquitlam search and rescue search manager. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yes, Michael Coyle was a Burnaby resident who split his time also in Squamish. And last Saturday, he was out for a bike ride in the backcountry with his dog, which he loves the most. And he unfortunately passed away. I talked to the president of Coquitlam Search and Rescue, Nick Zupan, who says that is not trauma related, it is medically related. Michael was much loved at the Coquitlam Search and Rescue. He was there for almost 30 years. Recently, he had taken a little step back because he was busy with other things. But Michael was diagnosed several years back with a genetic disease that required a kidney transplant. And somebody from Search and Rescue, one of the members, they're so generous, one of them stepped up and donated their kidney to him. Michael's legacy is significant. Not only was he well known with the media because he was always available and talking about the rescues that they had done in the Coquitlam Search and Rescue, but in 2019, right before the pandemic, he was honored with the Governor General of Canada's Sovereign Medal for volunteers. Also, because he was a software engineer, he also designed the True North Geospatial, which is a mapping tool for search and rescue teams of the backcountry. And most significantly, he developed the BC Silver Alert program. And this is in response to a gentleman in Coquitlam who went missing. His name was Shin No, and it was in 2013. And his son helped Michael create this Silver Alert program. It's similar to the Amber Alert. It's a notification system for the public when somebody with dementia, autism, or cognitive issues goes missing. Search and Rescue is currently organizing a memorial, a celebration of life for Michael, and lots of tributes coming.
Yeah, that's quite a legacy.
Yeah. He leaves behind a partner of 20 years and a young son.
Wow. Well, thank you for that, Janice. And sticking with you, I know you also have a story about some work going on in Coquitlam to help rescue mid-century homes by potentially relocating them. I wanted to hear about this.
Yeah, so a few podcasts back, I talked about Coquitlam wanting to rescue the heritage homes. This is sort of in the same vein, but it's more designed towards the environment and for affordable living. With this provincial housing legislation coming down, the municipalities see a lot of growth, especially around the SkyTrain stations. In Coquitlam, the neighborhoods like Coquitlam and Lower Lougheed are developing very, very quickly. And what's happening is we're seeing the loss of mid-century homes built in the 1950s to the 70s that have very good bones. Lots of material can still be used. And Coquitlam is wanting to make sure that the homes don't go in the dump. Basically, 138 permits are issued per year. Demolition permits are issued per year for homes, and these homes can be recycled easily. They don't have to go in the landfill. They can go to other parts of the province. They can go to First Nations territories, which we've seen in the past. And it is a push by Coquitlam to make sure that these homes don't clog up the landfill, because each home is about 50 tons worth of garbage. So we'll see what this report is. It's going to be a phased report, and it'll be starting hopefully next year.
So do they have any data about how many homes are already being recycled? Or is it just kind of negligible at the moment?
Well, it's currently about 2% of the homes, and it should be about 20%.
Right.
But this is a trend happening throughout Metro Vancouver. The single-family homes, about 2,700 single-family homes are torn down each year in Metro Vancouver. And with this new housing legislation that's putting pressure on densification, they projected another 1,000 homes per year, in addition to the 2,700. So there's a lot of our heritage and a lot of recycling that needs to be reconciled here.
So some hope for renewal there.
Indeed.
So speaking of hope and renewal, I wanted to turn back to you, Liam, to talk about some people who are at the start of their careers and the hope that they're getting from some scholarships. So you've got 2 scholarship stories I know you wanted to talk about. So do you want to tell us about that?
For sure, Jeff. So I'll start with the BD Luminaries Scholarship. For some background, the BD Luminaries was founded by Burnaby businessman and philanthropist Ryan Beatty to help BC students facing financial barriers and pursue post-secondary education. Since 2019, it's awarded more than $59 million in scholarships to over 1,300 students, along with mentorship and other support. Its new Family Practice Medical Degree Award gives $50,000 each to 33 aspiring family doctors studying at UBC or SFU. One of these recipients is Dayton Noga. Now, Noga is a very interesting fellow. It was a great conversation I had with him. He's a 27-year-old nurse from Coquitlam who's leaving emergency nursing to join the first ever class at SFU's new medical school. He also received the new $50,000 BD Luminaries Award, so he's really feeling like he's riding high on that and feeling pretty secure, which is what the scholarship's designed to do. He's got a pretty interesting background. He was the first person in his family to pursue post-secondary education. He became valedictorian at Douglas College and then worked at Royal Columbian Hospital. He even helped prepare the emergency department in the new Jim Pattison Acute Care Tower, doing a lot of behind-the-scenes work on its systems and patient workflows. And what really pushed him towards family medicine was just seeing people when he was working as a nurse in emergency wards, seeing patients repeatedly come into emergency rooms because they didn't have a family doctor or they couldn't find one in certain scenarios. And he talked about seeing everyone from parents with newborns to older folks without much community support, waiting hours because they frankly had nowhere else to go. And for him, the difference is that emergency departments and walk-in clinics usually see a snapshot of somebody. A family doctor can build a relationship over time and understand everything else affecting that particular person's health. And that's what really drew him to family medicine. He also talked about growing up as a marginalized identity at a time when it was less accepted in his community. For a while, that left him feeling like he had something to prove. And now he thinks that experience has really helped him connect with patients who feel out of place, misunderstood, not quite the norm. And the scholarship itself is pretty significant because he and his partner bought a condo in Coquitlam last year. And now he's giving up a stable nursing income to attend medical school full time. And he found out he had received it during one of his, he found out he had received the scholarship during one of his final nursing shifts, and said it immediately sort of took the weight off his shoulders, that he didn't have to think that much about the bottom line financial dollar, and that he can, as he put it, go all in on his education. He says SFU's program really fits what he wants to do. It's a 3-year program focused heavily on primary and community care. And he's excited to start in the fall. And he feels like he's riding high. He feels really good about his future, which is great because, as we know, we need more family doctors in the province. So I think this is a win all around for everybody.
Yeah, sure sounds like it. And I know you have a second scholarship story about Burnaby graduates earning $10.9 million in scholarships.
That's right. So Burnaby's class of 2026 earned more than, as you put it, $10.9 million in scholarships, bursaries, and other awards. Now, that money covers university, athletics, and skilled trades, so it's benefiting many different kinds of students looking to pursue different things. And one of the largest recipients was Burnaby North graduate Lar Cicerien, who received $150,000 from the Ugla Family Scholarship to attend SFU. Wow. It covers her tuition, it gives her a possibility of studying abroad in Europe or Asia, and means she can continue her work in community service without really having every decision shaped by financial pressure, very much like Dayton. Lar came to Canada from Syria in 2019, and that experience, she said, really helped shape her goals. She grew up somewhere where education and leadership opportunities weren't, frankly, guaranteed, and she saw how geopolitical borders could leave equally capable students with very different futures. That made her determined to make the most out of her opportunities available to her in Canada here. She became president of Burnaby North Student Government and joined its roughly 200-person leadership program. After the 2023 earthquake in Syria and Turkey, she helped organize a school walkathon and raise money for those affected. She said that kind of work gave her the greatest sense of purpose during high school and sort of informed what she wanted to do moving forward. Now, a lot of her focus has been on younger students. Her philosophy is that whenever she becomes involved with something, she wants to leave it better than she found it. And helping those who come after her is one way to do it. And she said she had tons of support from Burnaby North. Scholarship coordinator Dragana Mihik maintains a blog listing available awards. But Lar also spent a lot of time on her own as well, researching, looking for opportunities offered by universities and other organizations. That support extends across the district. Nick Christofides with Burnaby School District explained that every school has a teacher representative on a district scholarship committee. And they help students find awards, communicate deadlines, and select recipients for some bursaries, grants, and donations. And he said Burnaby's total has remained around $11 million for the last 3 years, alongside academic and athletic funding. More awards are appearing in skilled trade, science, technology, and sustainability. And so you see a lot of growth in this area. You see a lot of opportunities emerging. And, Christofides and Lar kind of said the same thing, where they said to any Burnaby student looking to kind of get a leg up and get scholarship funding, apply widely. Students often underestimate what they've accomplished or assume that they aren't strong enough candidates, but they never know which organization will see them as the right person. As she put it, believe in yourself and knock on as many doors as possible. Jeff?
Well, that sounds like good advice and inspiring story. And we have another inspiring story from Burnaby about a South Asian pioneer in our community who's being honored in Burnaby's first stop of interest. And Cornelia, I think you're going to tell us about that.
Yeah, we're all about inspiration here in Burnaby. So are you familiar, who here knows about or remembers or is familiar with those green stop of interest signs? You see them on highways. There's probably one by the Hope Slide if you've ever gone up the Hope Princeton. So this that program started in 1958. And it was a chance to give travelers a way on BC highways to learn about people, places, and events that have shaped BC's history. I think New Westminster has 3 of these, or should have 3 of them. I looked on this interactive map that was actually not checked since 2022, I believe it is. It says that there should be one at Irving House near City Hall. The one at Irving House is still there. The one at City Hall and up to the main entrance to the BC Penn grounds. Those signs went missing somehow. Port Moody also has one about a mile. I don't know why it's in miles, but about a mile outside of the city. There's a Port Moody stop of interest that I think it just talks about Colonel Moody, the founder of that. But the province has actually paused this program. It's not currently running. But between 2016 and 2019, they installed 20 new stops of interest signs and refreshed and replaced a bunch of others. As you can imagine, the early signs were probably very much dedicated to white settlers and that history. And I think they were updating and including other communities and those signs of interest. So the city of Burnaby, this is going way back, the city of Burnaby put in a nomination in 2016 for a sign at Barnett Marine Park honoring Kapoor Singh Sidhu, an Indian-born founder of Kapoor Sawmills Limited, once located in the park there. So not only was he known for his successful business and unusual history as a person of color owning a business because it was hard to acquire, he was also remembered for being an advocate for the South Asian community. He once appeared before City Council and encouraged the municipality to join with other municipalities and push for voting rights or changes to the Municipal Elections Act so that people of South Asian descent could have the municipal vote, something they were denied between 1907 and 1947. Burnaby would eventually join with those other municipalities and successfully push for that change. So the sign honoring this man, honoring Sidhu, was approved and fabricated in 2018, but it ended up sitting in a warehouse for years because the city was investigating what I was told were archaeological risks at Barnett Marine Park, according to City of Burnaby Heritage Planner Lisa Codd. She said that the city wasn't doing any non-essential excavation in the park for a time while they investigated those risks. And by the time the city was ready, the province had discontinued the program, and so it took a little while to get it up and running. All this to say that this process culminated just last week, with a ceremony at the park where the sign was installed at a entrance, a road leading into the park. Sidhu's grandnephew, Kerry Sidhu, was on hand for the ceremony. He said it was, quote unquote, pretty special for the city and province to recognize his great uncle in such a permanent way. He said that the more he learns about his forebear, the more impressed he is. And he said it takes a lot of courage to do what he did ahead of his time. So there you have it. A long time coming, but now it's up. And now Burnaby has its first stop of interest sign, and maybe the last stop of interest sign that's been installed in the province.
Wow. Well, noteworthy either way. Speaking of the province, I wanted to talk for a few minutes about BC Day. That's coming up this long weekend. Really kind of starting today, I think. And lots of stuff happening to celebrate BC. And one of those things, of course, is the Celebrate BC Festival, of which we are a sponsor. And Janice, I may ask you to talk about that in a minute. But I also wanted to talk a bit about what BC means to you. And when you think about celebrating BC, what comes to mind? And maybe, Liam, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I think what comes to mind when it comes to celebrating BC is just sort of obviously our beautiful outdoor scenery that we have. I grew up in Coquitlam, northern Coquitlam, up on Westwood Plateau, and just being able to walk out into what essentially feels like endless wilderness 5 minutes away from my house, just something that not many places in the world really have. Also, of course, just our access to clean drinking water in terms of our livelihoods. We're ranked at one of the most livable cities in the world. So BC just has so much to offer. Also, another thing that comes to mind is our film industry. So many times I have been watching a movie that's based in New York, and right there, it's Vancouver sitting in the background. So I just think, we got wonderful scenery. We have wonderful people. We have wonderful culture. We have such a mix of so many different identities throughout the world. I grew up in such a multicultural community that I really felt when I got a bit older and started traveling that I had a much better idea of the cultures that I was sort of traveling to. So when I think BC, I think those things, Jeff.
Thanks for that, Liam. How about you, Cornelia?
Well, I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and all of them were born in Alberta. And BC's always felt like my own special place because I'm the only one born in BC. I was born in the Okanagan. And so another thing that BC means to me is not just this populous lower mainland, but the interior and the friendly people that live there, the beautiful Okanagan, very sunny, very on fire right now. That part's not happy. But so it's always felt like my special little thing. Also, to echo what Liam says, the diversity here, going back to the lower mainland since I live here now, the diversity here, it's like, especially in Burnaby, it's the most diverse place in Canada based on certain studies that people have done. It's so weird being like traveling to another place where that's more homogeneous. It just doesn't, it seems like it's missing something when you don't have all the different diversity, the languages being spoken, the community, the different communities that enliven this part of the world. Yeah. That's what it means to me. Also, this is usually about the time that I go into the interior and have a vacation around my son's birthday. So that's always the launching off point to my little vacation every year.
Well, an early happy birthday to your son. How about you, Janice?
Well, when you go to other places outside of Canada, you really appreciate British Columbia. I had traveled to Arizona last year for my son's baseball, and I was so glad to come down. Like Liam said, the drinking water is right at your tap. The clean, fresh air that we breathe every day. I am so grateful for to be in this province and to be around wildlife too. I love seeing the bears and the eagles and not having insects around me. And I really do appreciate all the especially in this area that we have basically the mountain for skiing and we have the beach for sunbathing and relaxing. So everything is here.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Yeah, when I think about BC, well, like you, Cornelia, I did spend quite a bit of time in Alberta. My parents actually came from the UK, but when they moved to Canada, they came to BC. BC didn't want them because my dad was a doctor and his qualifications from Oxford were not good enough to be able to practice in BC at that time, but Alberta would have him. So we went to Alberta and we lived in Calgary for 6 very cold years. But every summer we came to Osoyoos because that's where we would vacation. That was the summer vacation place. So from early on, I had this impression of BC as this kind of land of fun and water skiing and beaches, and that was kind of my first impression of BC. And later on, when I moved permanently to the Okanagan, to Kelowna actually, and went to high school there, it was that whole thing of what you were talking about, Janice, about like. Particularly, there's a few weeks in spring where you can be skiing in the morning and you could kind of go golfing in the afternoon and then maybe go out in the boat, right? They're just
Right.
like all of those things happening at once.
Yeah.
And also the rich cultural history that everybody's talked about. And I think also of the First Nations history. Like I went on this tour near the chief in Squamish, and it was a First Nations tour, and they were talking about the many, many thousands of years that people have lived, particularly along the coast, and communities that were connected all the way down the coast into Washington State and beyond, and the rich history of those peoples and how they managed the land and kind of what it meant to them. So all of those things kind of are wrapped up in how I think about BC. I just really am grateful for living here. And on that note, go ahead.
Sorry. Did you have a yellow license plate when you lived in Alberta and came to the Okanagan?
I was 9 when I moved. So I think it was like a red and white license plate is what I recall. But, I wasn't supposed to be driving at 9. So
Albertans had these very distinctive yellow license plates when I was a teenager. And you could always, there was just there's an influx of Albertans into Kelowna when I grew up there as a teen. And so, yeah, anyway.
No, that's true. I certainly remember when I was a kid, going to Osoyoos, most of the parking lot at the hotel, or the motel actually, was BC license plates. Alberta license plates. So anyway, and on that note, Janice, I was going to just turn to you to talk a little bit about Celebrate BC and what's going on there this weekend.
Well, on Saturday from 9 to 5 at Rocky Point Park, it's the inaugural Celebrate BC Port Moody. And that starts with a blueberry pancake breakfast. And there's canoe rides. You can go out into the Burrard Inlet. Finn Donnelly, who is the chair of the Celebrate BC, he's going to be leading these canoe rides. And you can register online or hopefully drop in, and there's still some space. And then on Monday, BC Day, I understand the Premier is coming to Coquitlam, to Town Centre Park, where Celebrate BC is having its second anniversary at Town Centre Park from 11 to 7. There is wild BC salmon burgers available for $10. And the Fast of the Furriest, which is the dog races between the Corgis and the Dachshunds, between 11 and 5. So, we will be there as vendors, and we look forward to meeting our readers.
So do you have an early bet on who's going to win the dog race? Is it going to be a Corgi or a Dachshund?
I didn't know that they throw down against each other. I think it's actually separate races, unfortunately, for the Dachshunds in one and the Corgis in the other. I'd like to see them face off, frankly.
There's also costume contests and best dressed, and they've got a whole market going around. Also, for both the events in Port Moody and Coquitlam, there is an Indigenous market where we have 7 vendors that are going to be selling Indigenous wares.
Oh, it sounds like a lot of fun. All right, we're going to switch gears now and our Freshet 911 segment. And Cornelia, I know you're first up. So what do you got?
Sure. I'm sort of sitting in, just Teresa's taking just a mini vacation. And so this morning I handled a New Westminster news release. New Westminster Police Department got a call at about 2 a.m. about a truck hitting a barrier on the Queensboro Bridge at a high rate of speed. And so the police responded. They located the driver, a passenger, and a damaged vehicle in a nearby parking lot, and determined that the vehicle had been reported stolen. The 2 men were arrested, and a search turned up a loaded handgun. 1 man was released at the scene, according to police, but the other was transported to cells before being released on on conditions pending possible charges related to stolen property and the handgun. NWPD noted that this is an important example of people reporting stuff to the police when it looks suspicious, when they see a crime in progress especially. They also urge people who've been victims of crime to make sure to call 911, basically.
Okay, well, Janice, have you got anything you want to add?
I've got a couple things that just make you want to scratch your head and go, why did they do that? On July 28th, thieves went to the Port Moody Rec Center. They have charging stations at the front there before you go into the building. And somebody went in and cut the cables to the EV stations. And the chargers are like, the Port Moody police sent a photo and like the cables are cut. Like there's no reusing them at all. So police want to know who did that. And currently BC Hydro is on site trying to repair them. And then the second one is a follow-up from a video that the RCMP, Coquitlam RCMP, posted last month on Facebook. They still have no arrests yet in this case, but basically a citizen took a video of two women leaving Town Centre Park in Coquitlam, one with a wagon, another with a huge bouquet of flowers, stolen right from the park. And they just walked away. These are massive bouquets. And I talked to the city of Coquitlam, and apparently it's not uncommon. People steal flowers from public parks. And the parks manager told me people don't think that anyone's looking when they do it. Well, guess what? There's videos everywhere now. So these two women were captured, and on video, the footage is online. In my story, and they want to know who these women are, if they can stop doing this. If anybody sees them, the phone number is 604-945-1550, and quote file 2026 15507. If you want to take a look at the video, like I said, it's online on my website, and even the motorcyclist who was in front of the video, the citizen who took the video, shaking her hands, saying, "What is this? Why are these people stealing these flowers? They appear to be tall lilies. They are public flowers. This is taxpayer funding going into beautification, and people are just ripping off the parks."
Yeah.
And if everybody did that, there'd be nothing left in the park.
Yes, a lot of concrete. So, Liam, I'm going to turn to you now. This isn't really a Freshet 911, but it is about firefighters. And so maybe you can tell us a bit about the firefighters making an appearance at the Burnaby Summer School.
Well, Jeff, I was hoping you'd ask me about this one because I had a lot of fun covering this story. It was basically summer school turned into a giant splash zone. Burnaby firefighters brought a ladder truck to Marlborough Elementary July 15th and sprayed water all over the field while students and teachers ran underneath it. Now, it was 27 degrees, so the timing couldn't have been much better, and no one was upset that they were getting soaked by the huge fire hose. The firefighter visit is actually an ongoing thing that happens at different summer school sites across Burnaby. They were at different schools just about every day of the week, that particular week. And the district principal, Cesare Martino, said he's worked with the summer program for 5 years, and the visits have happened every year during his time, and he hopes that they happen as he continues being district principal. And what makes the event relevant beyond the photos on Freshet is that it reflects how Burnaby approaches summer school. The district wants students, particularly those in kindergarten through grade 9, to associate the program with trying new things, spending time with friends, and having experiences that they can go home and talk at the dinner table about. And that approach appears to be attracting more families. Burnaby recorded more than 10,200 summer session registrations this year, which is about 200 more than the last year. And younger students can choose from programs involving robotics, engineering, photography, movie making, cooking, sewing, woodworking. And Martino gave the example of students in sewing class making tote bags that they can take home at the end of the program. And in robotics, the district recently invested in new kits, which I'm sure is exciting for both teachers and students. And Martino said the district decides which programs to offer by looking at student and community interest, available space, equipment, and whether it has teachers who can run them. And what was striking to me about all this is the onus on it being quite different from that of the traditional idea of summer school, which is that you're there to catch up because you've fallen behind. There is still an option for students who want to improve their mark, Martino said, but most high school students, for example, are taking courses to get ahead or create room for more electives during the regular school year. And, for the younger grades, it is much more experiential. The goal is for it not to feel like students are sacrificing their summer to sit in another classroom like they do the rest of the year. As Martino put it, it should feel like joining a small community for a couple of weeks, hanging out with friends and learning something. Or I suppose getting sprayed by a giant fire hose.
Well, there is that expression about learning sometimes like drinking from the fire hose. So I think this one fits. Well, thank you. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually. It makes me want to go back to school.
Yeah.
Oh, same here.
Well, it is BC Day, as we've discussed. So what's on, Janice?
Celebrate BC, August 1st, Port Moody. Get your blueberry pancakes. And on the 3rd is the Coquitlam version. This is the second one. And again, that is the salmon barbecue. That is the dog races. This is where the premier is going to come and say hi on BC Day. But also this weekend, we've got the regular farmers markets. On Saturday, we've got the Burnaby one at the City of Lougheed from 10 to 2. And on Sunday, we've got the Coquitlam Farmers Market from 9 to 1 at Dogwood Pavilion, as well as the Brentwood Market. This is at the Brentwood Mall. And again, that's the Burnaby Artisan Market. For next month, I just want to give everybody a heads up that August 8th, circle your calendar, the Blues and Roots Festival in Burnaby is happening. This is always lots of fun. And this is taking place at the Deer Lake Park. The top act is someone named Talk. I haven't heard of them, but the leading up to Talk is Julie Black, and she is great. She's just got her doctorate, and she is a great entertainer. So that is BC Day.
Yeah, and for other events, I would urge people to go to the website and also to look at the paper that came out last week. So now I'm going to turn to our favorite stories of the week. So Janice, what was your favorite story of the week?
My favorite story of the week was Liam's. About Dayton Noga from Coquitlam getting $50,000 to be in the first class of the SFU Stevens School of Family Medicine. I'm sure I got that wrong. He's starting this fall, and congratulations to Dayton. This is incredible news. Every time I see that BD's Luminaries press release, I take a look at all the kids who have done such great work and have excelled academically and within their community and have risen above their circumstances. It's always very inspiring.
Well, that is very cool. How about you, Cornelia?
Well, Janice kind of stole my thunder there. I was going to say both of Liam's stories because I covered the Burnaby School District for many years, and it's one of the best things to look back and see all of the amazing kids. They're also every now and again the Governor General Medal Award winners that are like the top students of their classes at each school. They get presented at the school board, and they're such intimidatingly brilliant people. And knowing that the school district is putting so much more time into finding talented people or money for those kids to pursue their education without having to go in debt is always really heartening. And especially the way Liam got into their stories, their backstories, it really brings life to that. And it shows how that money can make a difference, which I think is great because hopefully it encourages more people to offer scholarships and gets more kids getting an education without going in debt.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for that, Cornelia.
Thank you both for saying that. Really nice of you.
Well, Liam, as it happens, my favorite was actually your story about the firefighters at the Burnaby Summer School. And Liam has these great photos of all these kids absolutely having a blast. And the one that particularly got me was this kid who's holding up a sign that says, "Spray me fire truck." And he's looking like he's having a fantastic time and just waiting for the water to hit. So that was great. So thank you for that, Liam. And I'm going to turn to you now. So what was your favorite story?
I have two. One is Cornelia's story on the Great Divide, which is the Highway 1, which is dividing two parts of Burnaby. Just a really in-depth piece that I really appreciated as someone who regularly has to go from North Burnaby to South Burnaby. I felt seen and heard. And also, I just really like the history about it. A lot of things in there that I didn't know. And for completely different reasons, my other favorite story is Janice's on the EV cables at Port Moody Rec Center being stolen, because I just have so many question marks on that story. What was the motive? Like what really went on with that? It's not really something I've heard about every day, that people go and not only steal one EV cable, but just the whole lot of them. It's sort of an Ocean 11's-esque kind of thing going on there. So, that's probably it should be the Highway one because of the quality journalism, but honestly, my heart is with Janice's story.
Yeah, and what did they use to cut it? And what did they do with them?
And the sound went off, right? The sensors went off. And so the security guards at the rec center were alerted to that.
So they took off with the cables?
Yeah, and they can't reuse them because they're cut.
But they took off with the cables, or the cables were left?
No, they left with the cables.
Wow.
I have heard of this actually happening. TELUS has had a problem for years with people stealing cables and vandalizing boxes. Where there's tons of copper in those cables and they sell the copper. But I can't imagine you're going to get a lot from an EV cable, in addition to which there's massive voltage going through that.
Yeah.
So, as you say, there's a lot of questions that pop up. Anyway, that is it for our favorite stories. So thank you all for that. And that wraps up another Freshet Friday podcast, but we'll be back soon. In the meantime, keep asking yourself the question, is it Freshet Friday yet? And come on back when the answer is yes. Thanks to our team for being here. Thanks for listening, and have an amazing BC Day holiday weekend.